Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Weyandt, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Great Tech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation of this great industry. My guest today is Ed DeAngelis. He is the CEO and founder of EDA Contractors. Ed's innovative personality has allowed EDA Contractors to become a leader in the industry. Always looking for another challenge, Ed has continually provided his customers with knowledgeable and qualified employees that share his unique vision. I'm excited to welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming and joining us again a year later here, Ed.
Well, thanks for having me again. I guess I didn't blow my first shot, so it's nice that you let me come back. So thank you. I'm excited.
You're joining a elite group of returning.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right. Elite group. That's right. I'm very, very humbled.
Yeah. Thanks for being willing to sit back in the hot seat. So, a year ago, we talked about the whole concept of humanity being a strategy in the construction industry. I'm wondering, looking back over the past year, how has that been reinforced the most in your belief?
Todd, I think when I went on this journey to kind of speak this language, to be perfectly honest with you, in an industry that really concentrates on the technical part, because it is such a technical business. There's so much technical knowledge that's needed to do it. Mm-hmm. Since we last spoke, I've been on a journey just speaking about it. And I must tell you, there is such a yearning for this type of conversation. And I felt comfortable that there would be, because I think people in general, especially young people, are really looking to be seen as people first. I think there's a lot of pent up demand. And I think as I've gone on this journey and speaking with people like yourself in our industry, I think there is an absolute connection where I see people walking in when we're interviewing or hearing about the interview, and they're asking questions about my conversations and almost challenging, do you really believe in that? Mm-hmm. And I think when someone's challenging on something, that at least they have interest in it. And I think over this past year, since we've spoke last, it's being reinforced. So I'm even more excited to continue to speak about it, because I think there's a lot of also entrepreneurs out there who are asking me questions like, what do you do? How do you do that? Why did you do that? And what's going on? And how is that benefiting your business? And I'm able to, give them real ROIs and make sure that they understand that this is not just a vision of some theory. This is in thought. This is a strategy of really trying to help grow my business.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think is behind the kind of the drive to bring that humanity as a strategy into construction more? Is it just that there's younger people coming in with, a different kind of thought process and ethos around what culture should be compared to what has been in construction? Or is there's something else kind of under the current there?
Yeah, I do think that young people, look, I think we have a talent issue in our industry. We need more talent. Mm-hmm. We need to be seen as a viable option for individuals who are smart, caring, hardworking, who want to go into an industry that they believe can benefit them for themselves. I speak about it in the sense that, think about it yourself. You go to, let's say, college, or even if you go to high school, you finish high school, and you tell your parents that you went into construction. I want them to be excited. But I think there was this thought that this was like the last resort industry. And it's not true. There's so many people in this industry that are so powerful. So I do think there's been an issue with getting talent. We keep saying to ourselves, where do we get that talent from? Well, young people are your biggest feeding ground. I mean, like, there's people, someone's retiring today and someone's walking into the industry. The world keeps operating. So we need to make sure that this is a viable option for young people. And what I've seen is that young people respond better to listen to how you're going to treat me on a whole. Look, they're yearning. Look, we all can complain about how much money they may want or whatever, their education and whatever. The reality is they just want to be seen as a whole person. And I think the young people that come in here, this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is what I need. This is what I demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a huge believer in when you can really take the time to know the whole employee as a person, not just their job responsibilities and their, their title or whatever, but what really drives them as a person. What are they dealing with in their home life? I don't see that as an unprofessional kind of conversation and territory to go into, because it just, we are people. We bring our personal self, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. We bring that into the work environment every single day. And so it's just reality. You got to embrace the reality. If you're going to bury your head in the sand and be an ostrich for more than half of what the person actually is, then you're setting yourself up for just failure, to be honest, in your business, I think.
It's true. And I think, we spoke a little bit about, like, look, AI is everything that is going on in the world right now. In our industry, everybody's talking about AI. And it is a powerful force that is going to be of great benefit, but potentially some dangers. AI is still not even close to what a human can do. Remember,
Mhm.
AI generates information that comes from humans. It correlates it and spins it around faster than we've ever seen before. But at the end of the day, innovation, personality, people still want to work with people who they like. People
Mhm.
want to innovate for people that they feel good about. They'll go the extra yard. A computer can only go so far. A human being has that extra gear. And I think we've seen over history that when a human is able to present their whole self, their power is just infinite. It can't be stopped. So, what do we do? Humanity as a strategy is really okay, let's strategically come up with a way to help those human beings be better.
Yeah.
And they have it in them.
Yeah, I love that you paired it to as simple as you're gonna get more work out of somebody and better work if they like you. And that sounds, I think, probably trite, maybe, but it's so true. Like you can, if you're the drill sergeant, you can get people to perform. You can get people
Yes.
to perform well and accomplish the goal and the mission, but for a short time. And then they're gonna burn out.
Yes.
Then it's gonna turn into resentment at some point, and they're gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum. But if you get people to like you, not in a manipulating way, but you get
Mm-mm.
people to genuinely like you because you've built trust, you've built that relationship, you've built that rapport, then for sure they're going to go the extra mile, because the human psychology kicks in of, I don't want to disappoint them and I don't want to let them down. We're all a team together. We're in the trenches. We're locked arms. We're brothers in arms. And that mentality, people will run through walls in that mentality, not in the drill sergeant, I'm just going to do it because I have to do it mentality. So I think it's a super important distinction to note for sure.
And they do. They do walk. I have a saying, Todd, feel and function. So obviously, someone has to have a functional ability to do their job. We all know that. Everybody
Sure.
has to have. The feel, though, is that's the superpower in there. That's the thing that will get them. So and you said running through walls. That's what happens. The function they have to be able to do, but when you give them that extra feeling of care, and I can relate it to parenting to a degree. Now, granted, these aren't our children, but if you provide them with this trust, this psychological safety, if you can give them some of those tools so they're not where the society is giving them fear, if you can make them feel like really cared for. And I say like, and because like is a simple word. Do I like this person? Because most of us want to work at a place that they respect, like the person. They're not fearful.
Mhm.
Fear is a short term endorphin hit. Yeah, that'll hit you. But what we're looking for if we're building a good business is sustainable success that is repeatable over and over again. It's not a manipulative tool. It's a tool of nurturing to nurture. This is like the soil, and all we're trying to do is just keep making the soil as deep and deep as possible so it can get through some storms. It can get through things, and then it grows at a stronger root. And I think the root of your success of your business is really your people.
Mhm. Yeah.
And your business is what you do in your business can change over time. The root is your people. If your people are given the strength of psychological safety, they feel emotionally intelligent, they're learning how to be a better person, they're happy in who they are now foundationally going to support you as you make changes or do things differently. So this is hard. This is a little harder. It's a lot harder. So you talk about the general yells at you. It's a lot easier to just yell at people and scream at people and hold them to a hard account. It's a whole nother thing to understand them as people and try to build a relationship with them and know that there's an accountability model in there.
Mhm.
If you accept money for something, is an accountability model that has to be in there. And let's just get over that. Let's just agree on that. And let's move on to making each other better.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
think an important caveat and distinction, maybe not caveat, distinction to note is it is incumbent on the leadership to genuinely want to get to know the employee and connect on that level. And that's when that kind of genuine curiosity about who they are as a person is present, that's when it feels authentic. That's when people, you build that trust, start to form those bonds in a healthy way that's not manipulative. You're just trying to do it because you want somebody to perform. People can sense that out very, very quickly, and it breaks down.
Everybody has the bullshit radar. So don't try to fake them out. Nobody is that good at manipulating it. This has to come from your heart. This has to come from, this is what you really want to happen. And you are going to get hurt a little bit. Some people may manipulate you back, but you know that in the big scheme of things, it's the best thing to do. And I'm here to tell you that the depth of what I've seen by doing it allows you to have a staff that is loyal to themselves first, then loyal to the company. Well, okay, what else can I ask for? So what you said is, if you try to manipulate, if I am only genuine when it's to benefit me, the meter is up, everybody, because that's what happens. I always joke, and Todd, we've talked about it before maybe. Look, you put a ping pong table in, you're trying to manipulate something. If you put the ping pong table with the thought of, you've asked your staff that is going to make a difference in their lives, like you really care about that. Okay. This isn't a cheap thing. Humanity as a strategy is a lifelong commitment and an investment from the upper management all the way down that you want to do this. And you're going to have failure. But when you hit success, it is like hitting the lottery over and over again.
It's funny that you bring up the ping pong table, because I think it's such an funny kind of cliche gimmick, especially at like startup companies or something. You put the ping pong table in, but then you're kind of judging and watching everybody that's playing on the ping pong table. And you're like, well, why aren't you working? Why are you playing ping pong? And you're like, well, you're the one that put the table in. What do you expect people to do? You're going to judge them for it. It just totally breaks down very quickly with that. It's just better don't try to put the gimmick in. I want to circle back to something that you were saying about yelling at work. Okay, so we're in the construction industry. Why is yelling so common in the industry? And then what does strong leadership look like? What should it look like in those stressful moments?
Emotional intelligence is about managing your own emotions. I do think the industry in itself was built on a lot of high testosterone, male-dominated yelling. I grew up in it. I think and I don't have this for a fact, but I think it came from the fact that most of the people here were immigrants. And I think they were subservient to their leaders. And I think in our industry, and I think yelling just became a powerful tool. And I am very, very anti-yelling. There's such a limited value to it. It demoralizes. It doesn't provide any real long-term benefit. It creates fear. It's not strength. It's not tough. It doesn't really long-term work. So I think it's because because my generation and generations before, that's what we learn. But there's no real value in that because it's a short-term burst. So what we've tried to do is create an experience. You can't create psychological safety if you are going around. Now, yelling can happen there are going to be moments where there's something, I need to wake you up and I may need to raise my voice. But that is not a skill set. That is a one-off that you should not be doing on a consistent basis, because you're making people feel bad. And we don't speak to each other as adults by yelling at each other. We speak to each other as adults. If we're disappointed in something, if we're not happy with the results, we give them correct, strong feedback, and we stay in that space. And honestly, it's so much harder to stay in a calm state while you're giving someone negative feedback but it's so much more powerful in giving to that person than just yelling at them, scaring them, and letting them go on their way. What have we accomplished there? We haven't really taught them anything. So we here train at EDA about conflict management, psychological safety, and your own emotional intelligence. And I can tell you that a leader here is not going to be risen up into the company by yelling. It's going to be seen as okay, but we won't get ready. We're going to say, we're going to teach you why that isn't effective. And we're going to give you tools on how to manage yourself. One of the things we do here, Todd, before every meeting is we breathe. We spend 1 minute. Everybody closes their eyes. We say, be present, stay focused, engage fully, whatever you have going on, because I think human nature is we build up stresses as we go. And if we don't give ourselves that gap, the stresses start to roll over. And one of the mission for EDA is we want to make a difference, not only in what you do today, we want to make a difference in your life. So before you go home after work, if you want, sit in your driveway or sit in a corner for a minute and kind of decompress and breathe. And if that can help you have a better life with your family, so you're not taking this into there or that into here, I think we'll be better.
So what do you say to the people that go, yeah, that's great when things are working really well. I'm on board with that. But when things start breaking down and, everything's hitting the fan all at once and we have to move quick and it's, high pressure, high impact, short timeline, we're bleeding money, whatever the case may be, whatever the stressor may be. What do you say to them to keep the humanity in mind, to be able to balance compassion and accountability in those really hard, difficult moments that happen on the job site?
So let's put an analogy. There's a fire at your home. The fire truck comes up and the chief who is running the fire truck comes and starts screaming and yelling, running around screaming at everybody. Do you think that is going to help fight the fire any better, any faster? If anything, the fire is when you have to have some people, especially leadership, have to be the calm ones. The military has taught us that the generals stand in the back because the emotions need to be calmed to create a smarter delivery. So I actually say that is when you have to be the most calm. You should be serious. You should be quick in your action, but you should be like, I'll say it. This is unacceptable. Here's what we need to do. We need to change our position on how we're going to do this. If you're concerned about that and there's anything you can't do, please let us know now. We don't have a lot of time. We have to fight this fire. I have a saying, fire on the roof. Yeah, fire on the roof is the easiest thing to handle because everybody knows there's a fire right there. You really think yelling is going to make a difference? I think yelling is when someone is literally saying, well, there's no fire in front of me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hello. Like, that I might need to wake you up. So yeah. I challenge the premise that expeditiously speed has to be done with yelling. If anything, you need, because they feel it already. They know it. Most of your people know when you're losing money on a job. And if they don't, then it's a failure on you. You need to give them an idea what's going on, give them direction that's critical, stern, but tell them we got this. Again, if the firemen come out and the chief is running around, I don't know how we're going to put this out. And he starts screaming at them.
Doesn't give much confidence. Yeah.
Exactly. They're running around going, he doesn't think we can fight the fire. Why is he yelling and screaming, right? Like we're going to be running around. And I don't believe, I think that's a fallacy. I reject the notion that we are not serious about fixing things. We have had issues losing money. We are stern with it. We hold people accountable. We don't need to yell at them. We don't need to. I want to get the best out of them at this point. I don't want to get the immediate thought. I want them to I want to get the best out of them. And I believe the strategy is, how does a human being react when things are bad? We all got to collectively figure out. Now we have to make sure that we're all saying, we all got to be going to the right thing. We're all got to be saying that we want to fight this fire. We all have to kind of understand. We have to get that. You signed up for this. If this is too much for you, then really there may be another position. This is partly where we are. Yelling, I find it to be, if anything, I think it's a cheap way to lead. And I don't mean, it just doesn't really, it's not an investment.
Yeah. It's such a good example, because when you see the emergency services come into an emergency, they are trained to walk They don't run. They
Yes.
do stuff to intentionally lower their heart rate because people are looking to them. And if they're panicking, then that's just going to create panic around everybody else that's in that emergency situation as well too. That's not the time to practice the fire drill. Like when the fire's happening, everybody should already know exactly what to do, where their positions are, where they need to go to. And yeah, there's unicorns of emergencies that come out, but you got to train through those. You got to practice those of go, okay, if something that we didn't plan for and something totally unexpected happens, what do we do? Who do we look to? Who's going to be the one kind of in the driver's seat making those calls so that people can, they're trained to look to that person and see that calm, kind of steady leadership that is the lighthouse in the storm, to keep mixing metaphors here. That's absolutely critical.
So Todd, it's the neuroscience. This is like construction. It's really getting that breathing is allowing the most amazing thing ever created, which is the human brain, to be able to just lower your heart rate, calm yourself down. So your fight or flight instinct isn't the first thing. You're getting to the back cortex where you're going to see, and you go, and we teach our people about the amygdala, the hippocampus, because we want them to understand, why am I reacting this way and how do I stop myself? How do I lower my heart rate? Because your decisions are going to be much better. Everyone thinks it's amazing that someone makes an instinct decision like this. Training is what helps them make that instinct, not action, reaction. That's just they've been trained through this. They've been through this. And I think most people want to look at a leader. I had a person come to me one time and say, "Ed, I don't know, like it's like you don't even care." I said, "Do not misrepresent my calmness for care. It's because let me give you what the opposite would look like." And I pretend, okay, you come to me and say, "Hey, Ed, it looks like we got a major problem with this job." And I go, "What? Oh my God, what are we going to do?" And they go, "Wait a minute, hold on. Why are you saying that to me? Because now I'm scared because you said that." No, you want me like your children. I cut I cut my leg. Dad, Mom, I cut my leg. Oh my God.
There's so much blood.
And now the blood starts pumping faster out of the kid. So you bring up emergency services let me be clear on that with construction. We don't have that unless it's a danger. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to start screaming if someone is hanging unsafely or is doing something that could hurt them. I will scream my head off and we will scream. But that better be this much of your business that you're constantly dealing. Yes. And when it comes to someone's safety, it's a screaming moment. Money, there's no screaming moment for money. Money is something that comes and goes. Someone's life, they're injured, or they're going to get hurt. I take that very seriously. That's a screaming moment, but even that can't be a screaming moment. If it's a scream, could help the person move from the car hitting them or from the piece of something.
It's a scream to get their attention to,
just to move them, just to shift them.
Yeah, for sure.
Adjust. Okay. Yeah, that's
not necessarily berating them with screaming.
No.
Correct the action that got them there. Yeah.
Correct. The danger is what we're talking about. When there's an immediate danger, I think that's fight or flight. And then that's a fair instinct. That's why it was built in us. If a lion's coming at me, I got to be able to know what to do. And I think that one, would be understandable.
Yeah, for sure. So to maybe poke on another stereotype maybe of construction leaders is around the ego and humility aspect of it. Humility is a huge component, I think, of good leadership. What does humility look like in practice on the job site?
One of our core values is demonstrate humility. It's my favorite value by far. Nothing is more empowering to your people when you walk onto a job site and you understand that this is their field. So let me humble myself and respect the fact that this is their environment. And on a job site, when our leaders are on a job site, the stakeholders within our organization are going to get us to the next place. So if our foreman or foreperson is running a egocentric, I'm the boss, this is what you do, whatever, we are not getting the best out of our people. So we want them to invite. This is the psychological safety on the job site. They know what's best for our company and how we're going to get better. So invite them, give them, we have simple. We set the expectation, invite their commitment, measure how they're doing, provide them feedback, link it to consequences. But if they have an idea that's better, do not thwart that idea. Talk to them. Like humility is a superpower. I don't believe humility. When we built the core values, there was we probably spoke about humility for 6 months fighting over it, because some people look at humility as weakness, and humility is actually the strength to be comfortable in your own skin, to be able to ask for, a judgment on me, but also ask for ideas. And then together, humility creates this. We have another thing called a pebble, take out the trash, meaning leaders have to say, I know who I am. I want you to feel like we're on the same page. I know my role. I'm the boss on the job. I get it. We all know that. I don't need to constantly tell you that if I have to tell you every day that I'm the boss on the job, we've lost you. So on the job site, which is a high testosterone place, we try our best to try to keep humility in the forefront of their mind. We want you to be direct. We want you to be organized. We want you to have ideas. But humility, to me, is one of the best things we can have. And in construction, there's such we got to be tough, and we have to have this big ego. And I say that not to diminish the individuals there. The individuals that work for that build these buildings are some of the greatest talent this country has ever had. They are amazing, skillful, smart, hardworking, taking risk and danger. There's danger swinging around them all the time. They have every right to be treated in a way to understand how we can make them better as a person. And ego is what gets people killed. Humility says, I don't know. I'm a little bit afraid. If you build that kind of environment, you're going to have a safer building, better. Hey, you know what? This isn't going to work. Let me go tell my foreman that this isn't going to work. I think this could create a problem. This connection is going to be a little bit off. Or do they just bang it in and say, look, he told me to do it. I'm going to bang it in, and it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think humility is the lubricant that makes teamwork function. It's the lubricant that makes leadership function. Without humility, it all breaks down. You can have confidence. That's different than ego. You can have confidence, but you can be confident and humble at the same time. Those are not in conflict at all. Ego and humility are in conflict, but the confidence.
I like your lubricant. I think lubricant is the right word. Yeah. Your job as a leader is to create lubricant within your teams. There's always going to be, we have a thing, sand, it's grease and sand. There's going to be sand in everything you do. It's who provides the lubricant to avoid the sand from corroding the whole system. So I like you. I'm going to use that, I hope you don't mind, because I like that humility, because humility is such a powerful, it's such a humanity as a strategy. To be strategically humble allows people to come closer to you, which allows them to give you more, not as a trick. This isn't a trick. It's just it's just the reaction, and that's what happens. So ego and arrogance repels. So when you said, a lubricant, I think humility connects, arrogance repels. Most people, they may fear you for a period of time because you're arrogant, but ultimately it goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning. Yeah. Honestly, they don't like you. They tell you to your face that they like you, but at the end of the day, they don't like you. And I want someone to say, I don't like you because you did this. Okay, let me humble myself and understand what I did to hurt you, because I want to get you to the point that you like me. And when I say like, you just have to like me. You don't have to love me, but you should like me. You should like where you work. You should like your job. You should like your wife or your husband or your children. You should like them. You should like your neighbor. You should like the person working next to you. I don't think that's a goal that is so unattainable at all. Yeah. I think we only get one life here. Yeah, we get one life. I mean, we should like the people that are in our circle. And if we can't, then there's something wrong, and we need to either help fix that situation, or we need to remove ourselves from that situation.
Yeah, for sure. What advice would you give the next generation of construction leaders?
I would say there's a lot to learn from senior leaders. They have tremendous, do not discount them if they're not exactly the way you are. Your job as a young leader is to absorb everything. Take the good things from people, see what the bad things that they do that aren't what you would want to do, and then make it your own. So young leaders should listen. They should listen and learn, because I came up in an environment was a lot of yelling, a lot of like, this is the way it is. And all I did was say, well, okay, I respect them for all the things. I respect a lot of their talents. How do I make this better for me? And don't let anybody tell you that you can't change how the industry is going to work. Matter of fact, I'm pushing you to help us keep changing and evolving and getting better. So young people, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry. There's a lot of opportunity, and we don't care if you went to Harvard or Penn or some Ivy League institution. We don't care about the fact that you have a yearning to learn and you want, don't think that you can't do it. And you could do it in your way. There's people out there similar to myself who say, we want to keep evolving as an industry and we need you, but don't be either afraid of it and lean into who you are and just be you and you can create, but do not discount those elder people who have really, they can give you a lot of knowledge as you move forward. But there's opportunity. This is a great industry. It's an opportunity for all. It takes all types in this industry. You're not pigeoned to get out of it. And there's opportunity to grow it. And it's always going to be there. I mean, until AI starts building buildings, which, I'll be way out of this universe by the time that happens. I mean, there's just so many moving parts. There's millions and millions of moving parts in a building, building a building that AI just doesn't, they can't catch up.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. Construction is here to stay. No doubt.
It
It'll
is.
look
Okay.
different on how it, the sausage gets made over the next several decades, but it's here to stay. So as we start to land the plane on the
Yep.
conversation, couple rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
First, what is the phrase modeling the future? What does that mean and look like to you?
Partly for me, modeling the future is really kind of my idea of humanity as a strategy, meaning if you're going to model the future, start now. Start now. What do you want the future to be? So modeling is about creating something now, modeling it so it happens in the future. Future doesn't happen in any way without you creating, start modeling it now. What does it look like? What do you want it to look like? Be in charge of it. So if leaders in our industry want it to be a certain way, don't let it happen to you. Model it now and start creating that infrastructure and that foundation of what it's going to be in 5, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah. Love it. What does innovation mean to you?
Innovation's a big word. Innovation to me means, and I call them pebbles. I don't want you to think that you're going to invent the atom or find the atom innovation to me means find little ways to make things a little bit better. Innovation comes in little tiny steps. And innovation to me, everybody who is a human being has an innovative brain. They can innovate in little pokes. So innovation to me is don't make it big, make it small. Innovation, you have it in you. Look to innovate all the time.
Okay. How do people find out more information on EDA or connect with you?
So look, come visit my LinkedIn profile. It's got a lot about me. I speak about this over and over again. Come to our website, EDA. I think you'll get a feel for what we're trying to present to the industry. We're not here to say that we're better than anybody else. We're just saying this is the way we would like to go to market. So visit our pages, see what we're about, inquire through LinkedIn. If everyone has any questions or would like to even reach out to me to see some ideas, and I'm always looking to help someone who may be thinking about something like, I'm looking to bridge the gap. If there's a gap where they don't know if they can get to that place, I think us as people help each other bridge the gap of where someone wants to go. I can be maybe that bridge for someone who may not sure, or I may need someone, if someone has ideas that are better that I think I can do, maybe that can help me bridge the gap. Yeah, visit our LinkedIn page and go on our website. I think that's the best place.
Love it. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the industry, what would you pick to innovate?
This one's going to be the easy one, is always the easy one. The thing that stresses me the most is safety. If you could innovate something that allows every worker to stay safe every day, it would make my stress level be much less, because everybody goes home in the same way they came in, and the success or failure of the job would have nothing to do with whether we're safe or unsafe. So innovate, Todd, if we can innovate that would be a great thing.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Ed, it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you. Thanks for joining us back. We'll have to make this an annual rhythm for sure.
Woo-hoo!
It was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Same here. Thanks again, Todd. Thanks for having me.
And now it's time for my Todd takes from this episode. First take, humility is the lubricant of leadership. One of the most powerful ideas in this conversation is the role humility plays in leadership. Humility is the lubricant that allows teamwork and leadership to function smoothly. Without it, friction builds quickly. When leaders operate with ego, ideas stop flowing, communication breaks down, and people disengage. But when leaders are humble enough to listen, invite feedback, and admit they do not have all the answers, teams come alive. Humility creates psychological safety. It allows the foreman, the superintendent, or the newest hire to raise their hand and say, I think there's a better way. That is when innovation and collaboration start to thrive. Confidence and humility are not opposites. In fact, the best leaders hold both at the same time. They know their role, but they also know the best solutions often come from the people closest to the work. As Ed put it, arrogance repels, but humility connects. Second take, practice the fire drills before the fire. Leadership is tested most when things are going wrong. Anyone can lead when conditions are calm, but when the pressure hits, when timelines slip, budgets tighten, or chaos erupts on a job site, that is when leadership truly matters. The key insight Ed shared is that calm leadership in a crisis does not happen by accident. It comes from preparation. Just like firefighters train before a fire ever starts, teams must prepare for difficult situations in advance. Processes, expectations, and communication channels should already be clear. When the moment comes, the leader's job is not to panic. It's to provide calm direction and steady leadership. Panic spreads quickly, but so does confidence. When a leader shows calm resolve, the team believes the problem can be solved. Fire drills should always be practiced before the fire. That preparation allows leaders to stay steady when everyone else is feeling the heat. And finally, humanity should be a real business strategy. A big takeaway from this conversation is that caring for employees is not just a nice cultural idea. It's a strategic advantage. When leaders genuinely care about their people as human beings, not just workers, it changes everything. Employees become more engaged. Teams collaborate more effectively. Loyalty grows and performance improves. But the key word here is genuine. Humanity cannot be a gimmick or surface level perk. People can sense authenticity instantly. Ping pong tables and perks do not create culture. Real relationships do. Leaders who take the time to understand their teams, listen well, and build trust create environments where people want to do their best work. Humanity is not a theory. It's a strategy that drives real business results when leaders commit to it fully. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our sponsor, Great Tech Group, at greattech.com for more information. You can listen to this podcast anytime by simply going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out our website, bridgingthegappod.com. As always, I'm Todd Weyandt, thanking you for joining the conversation to model the future on the Bridging the Gap podcast. Keep innovating.